A beginner's guide to critical literary analysis of verse. Hello and welcome to the discourse. Critical analysis in literature involves a detailed examination and evaluation of a literary work, going beyond mere summary to explore its deeper meanings, themes, and the author's techniques. It is about interpreting the text, understanding its context, and forming a well-supported argument about its significance and effectiveness. Critical literary analysis of verse involves a deep dive into a poem, examining its elements and how they contribute to the overall meaning and effect, rather than simply summarizing the plot. It requires a close reading, exploring aspects like structure, imagery, sound devices, and themes, while also considering the poem's context and potential interpretations. Analyzing poetry requires careful attention to language, form, and meaning. Unlike prose, verse often relies on condensed expression, sound patterns, and structural techniques to convey its message. A strong critical analysis examines not just what a poem says, but how it communicates its ideas. Below is a structured approach to unpacking poetry, moving from initial observations to deeper interpretation. First, readings and initial observations. Before dissecting a poem, it is essential to experience it as a whole. Read the poem silently and aloud multiple times to grasp its rhythm, pauses, and musicality. Note your immediate reactions. Does it evoke sadness, joy, confusion, or nostalgia? Consider the speaker's voice. Is it personal, distant, ironic, or contemplative? The tone can shift throughout the poem, so tracking these changes helps uncover layers of meaning. Jot down any striking lines, repeated words, or puzzling phrases that stand out. Understand the context. Before diving into the poem's language and structure, it is crucial to consider its broader context. The title often serves as a key to unlocking the poem's themes, sometimes straightforward, sometimes ironic or deceptive. For example, Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken suggests a focus on choices, but the poem itself explores ambiguity and regret. Always ask, does the title set up expectations that the poem fulfills or subverts? Next, identify the speaker, the voice delivering the poem. This is not necessarily the poet. It could be a fictional character, an object, or an abstract entity. The speaker's tone, background, and biases shape how we interpret the poem. Is the speaker nostalgic, angry, playful, or resigned? Are they reliable, or is there irony in their words? For instance, in Sylvia Plath's Daddy, the speaker's raw, conflicted voice reveals deep personal trauma, which influences the poem's intense imagery and rhythm. Finally, examine the setting, both time and place. A poem set in a war-torn landscape carries different weight than one in a serene garden. Does the poem reference a specific historical moment like World War I in Wilfred Owen's Dulce et Decorum Est, or does it evoke a timeless, universal scene as in William Blake's The Sick Rose? Even if the setting is not explicitly stated, details like weather, season, or cultural references can provide clues. A poem set at night might suggest mystery or despair, while dawn could symbolize hope. Understanding these contextual layers helps ground your analysis in the poem's intended or possible meanings. Examining structure and form. Poems are shaped by their structure, whether they follow strict forms like a sonnet or villanelle or are written in free verse. Meter, the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables, can create a musical effect or disrupt expectations. Line breaks influence pacing, and enjambment, where a sentence flows beyond a line, can build tension, while end-stop lines may provide resolution. Stanzas group ideas thematically, and shifts between them often signal changes in thought or emotion. Rhyme schemes, when present, can reinforce harmony or create discord. Even the absence of rhyme can be meaningful, suggesting freedom or fragmentation. Analyzing language and imagery. A poet's word choice, diction, carries subtle implications. A word like home feels warmer than house, and slither conveys more menace than slide. Look for figurative language such as metaphors and similes, which create vivid comparisons. Personification breathes life into abstract concepts, while symbols like a rose for love or a storm for turmoil add depth. Sensory imagery immerses the reader. A description of rotting leaves evokes smell and touch, while crackling thunder appeals to sound. Consider whether the language is concrete, specific, tangible, or abstract, theoretical, philosophical. as this shapes how readers engage with the poem. Uncovering themes and deeper meaning. Themes are the underlying ideas a poem explores: love, mortality, injustice, nature's power, or the passage of time. Some poems state themes directly, while others imply them through imagery or structure. Ask, what questions does the poem raise? Does it offer answers or leave them unresolved? Ambiguity, where multiple interpretations are possible, can be intentional, inviting readers to ponder different meanings. For example, a poem about a journey might literally describe travel but also symbolize personal growth or societal change. Considering historical and cultural context, understanding when and why a poem was written enriches interpretation. A 17th century religious sonnet may reflect theological debates, while a modernist poem might respond to the chaos of war. Researching the poet's life can reveal personal influences, though remember, the speaker is not always the poet. Additionally, literary movements, Romanticism, Harlem Renaissance, confessional poetry shaped stylistic and thematic trends. If a poem references myths, historical events, or other works, recognizing those allusions deepens analysis. Comparative analysis is optional. If you want to deepen your interpretation, consider analyzing the poem in relation to other works by the same poet or within its literary tradition. Does this poem share recurring themes, imagery, or stylistic choices found in the poet's broader body of work? For example, many of Emily Dickinson's poems explore mortality and nature. Does this one reinforce or deviate from her usual preoccupations? You might also examine how the poem engages with or resists traditional poetic conventions. Does it follow a strict form such as a sonnet or villanelle, or does it embrace free verse? If it adheres to a classical structure, does it use it in a conventional way or does it subvert expectations? For instance, Gwendolyn Brooks' "We Real Cool" breaks grammatical norms and uses abrupt rhythm to mirror its rebellious subject matter. Comparing the poem to others in its genre or time period can reveal whether it aligns with or challenges literary trends. Developing a coherent interpretation. A strong analysis weaves observations into a clear argument. Instead of listing techniques, explain how they contribute to the poem's overall effect. For instance, if a poet uses abrupt line breaks and harsh sounds, does that reinforce a theme or disruption? Support claims with direct quotations and acknowledge alternative readings when appropriate. A good analysis does not just describe, it interprets, showing how form and content intertwine to create meaning. Final tips for effective analysis. Close reading takes practice. Start with short poems, annotating as you go. Compare different readings of the same poem to see how interpretations vary. Over time, you will develop an instinct for spotting patterns and nuances. Remember, poetry thrives on multiple meanings. Your unique perspective is valuable. Whether you are analyzing for a class or personal enjoyment, the goal is to engage deeply with the words and discover what resonates. Would you like to apply this method to a specific poem? I would be happy to walk through an example with you.